Thanks for tuning in to the Zelos podcast, the show that's all about the pros behind the pros. I'm your host, Rocky Snyder. This week, I've got Todd Durkin with me. He is a master motivator and coach, but also happens to be one of the amazing presenters for Perform Better. And they will be having a 3-day functional summit next month, August 14th to the 16th in Providence, Rhode Island. It's the last one of the season. Join me there while Todd and myself will be presenting. Just go to performbetter.com. Check it out, the 3-day functional summit. You're not going to want to miss. And while you're on the website, check out the other event happening at the end of September. I'll be doing a 1-day workshop all about recalibrating movement from the ground up, where we look at the foot's relationship to movement up through the body and how to tap in to a lot of restricted movements by getting the foot to actually connect with the body. You can go to performbetter.com for both those events. And while you're surfing the web, let's go on to my website, rockysnyder.com, because I've got continuing education workshops for athletic trainers, physical therapists, chiropractors, strength coaches, and personal trainers. There's online and in-person workshops that are happening. And there's plus some, blogs and podcast archives if you want to scroll back in time and see who else has been on the show. Also, go to setantacollege.com. They've got Master's of Science degrees in Applied Sports Biomechanics and Movement Science. There's a track for Applied Sport and Exercise Psychology. Also, they have one for Performance Coaching and another for Sports Injuries and Return to Performance Management. Go to setantacollege.com, enter the code RS10 for 10% off tuition today. Follow us on Instagram at Rocky_Snyder. And if you haven't done so yet, click that subscribe button and give me some comments. Here we go. Well, Todd, this has been a long time coming as far as I'm concerned. If I look at all of the Perform Better presenters that I've had on this show, kind of gearing up for the summits and even in the off season, you've always been that dangling fruit that's just not that you're out of reach or anything, but I just haven't reached for it. And now you're here with me. I can't thank you enough for taking some time and coming on the Zealous podcast.
Rocky, thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for everything that you do. Your podcast is awesome. I know a lot of your guests that have been on are just awesome people, and I'm honored to be here and honored to serve your folks today.
Right on. Okay, so aside from being I will say a long-term presenter with a Perform Better
Mm.
summits, I just give people an idea of your origin, more or less. Like, what inspired you to get into coaching, training, and all that? Where did that come from?
Ooh, that's a good question. I grew up back in Jersey, and I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and I had the opportunity to play for a legendary football coach named Warren Wolf. I dedicated my latest book called Coaching Greatness to Coach Wolf. He is the winningest coach in New Jersey football history, the 5th winningest all-time football coach in America. And he's won multiple state championships, and growing up, he's the kind of guy that, as the youngest of 8 kids, we didn't have a lot of money. I was the lunch ticket kid, Rocky, and I think when you're growing up with not a lot of money and sports is something that you love to do, I realized at a young age football was my way out. And then Coach Wolf took me under his wing because I didn't really have a dad present in my life before age 10. And then my dad eventually came back into my life, but Coach Wolf was very pivotal. And I learned what a legendary, iconic coach is all about. And he poured into me spiritually as a coach, an old school coach with a lot of love as well, and a fatherly type wisdom. And that really was the seed. And then fast forward all the way, I eventually earned a football scholarship. And when I was in college, when I was done playing, my dream was to play in the NFL, to be a quarterback in the NFL. But it didn't work out that way. But I felt like I still had some good football in me. So I went overseas. I played in NFL Europe and in European football. It's where I eventually got hurt 2 years in. I blew out my back, 3 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, degenerative back disease. And it was there that I went on this journey to try to figure out my own life. Now that football was over, I was 25 years old, and I knew that I had my degree in kinesiology. I had a teaching certification. I was like, do I do physical therapy school? Do I do, chiropractic school? Which direction do I go? And it was there that I just kind of, I don't know if I found coaching or coaching found me, but I'd always been part of my DNA. And that's how I started getting into blending my background in sport and fitness and education and massage therapy and strength and conditioning. And I, through the grace of God, literally stumbled upon it. There's this guy on the Jersey Shore. His name was Michael King. I had just hurt my back in France. I was rehabbing at my sister's day spa, and this guy's wife, Michael King's wife, I met her, and she said, "Hey, my husband's got a bad back. Can you help him?" I'm like, yeah, I got nothing else on my schedule. I'm rehabbing my own back, so I show up at this house on One House Street, and One House Street is this like big mansion on the beach, on the ocean. And everyone knows One House Street because that's Michael King's house. That's where the fireworks go off on the 4th of July. And I'm like, wait a second, One House Street, that's Michael King. Well, Michael King, he produced Wheel of Fortune, American Journal, Jeopardy, and this new show
Wow.
called Oprah Winfrey. I'm like, wait, that's Oprah's producer. Well, we hit it off. The rest is history because next thing I know, I'm in LA. I'm training all these people, living at Sting's beach house, the not the wrestler Sting, but the singer Sting. And before I know it, I go from playing football in Europe to now I'm living in Sting's beach house, training these Hollywood people, and that got me into the world of fitness and coaching because like now I'm working with people and I'm doing my fitness and strength and conditioning, but man, just to keep going down that path and stop me where you want. But I loved fitness, but I did not like the Hollywood scene. I just it wasn't me. I just didn't feel at home, and I was around a lot of money, but just not like it wasn't my thing. So I moved to San Diego because my old beat up old Volvo would never make it back to the East Coast. So yeah, I'm in San Diego State at grad school for 2 years hanging out. But on day one of grad school, it's where I met my future wife, Melanie. We've been married now for 24 years. But it was there that when I was all finished up, I said, I'm going to open up my own gym. And it's going to combine fitness and strength and conditioning along with the Eastern practices I had learned with massage therapy and healing with Zen body therapy, Rolfing, Feldenkrais. And I took these philosophies under a roof at that time called Fitness Quest 10. And for the last 25 years, that's what I've been doing at Fitness Quest 10. A lot's evolved since then on the conditioning side and who I've worked with and what I do. But that was the start. That's how I got into the world of coaching and fitness. 25 years wrapped it, more than 25 years wrapped into a couple minutes. So sorry about going long, but that's kind of the story.
No, no, that's a part of you I hadn't heard before. I didn't know quite a few of those things.
Mm,
And really, it's nice to know two East Coast guys make it out on the West Coast here and to open up shops and keep it going. So
yeah.
yeah, kudos to that. So, but then somewhere along the way, you start getting involved with players in the NFL or other sports. Like, how did
Yeah.
you dip into that? You leave Hollywood, you go to San Diego, open up Fitness Quest 10, and
Yeah.
then what?
Well, when you start off in business, I didn't have a background in business. I just wanted to help a lot of people. And the first few months in, I was like, this is a pretty cool job. I'm like working out 4 hours a day. I'm getting back in playing shape. And then I realized, oh, shoot, I got bills coming up. I got to make some money to pay the bills. And fortunately, I had negotiated 3 months rent free because on the third month, realizing I had to pay the rent the following month, I'm like, I got to get some clients. Well, I did. And when you're starting a business, you'll take anyone. It doesn't matter who. And matter of fact, my very first client, Donna Dickinson, still comes into this day and trains. Um, but 2 years in, I had a very eclectic mix of everyone, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, kids, but I didn't really have many athletes. And I love working with athletes. So I really just set a strong intention and that I wanted to work with athletes. And I love I love football. I come from a football background. Little did I know that one of the girls who was doing Pilates, she said, "Hey, my husband's got a bad back. You think you can help him?" I'm like, "Absolutely, would love to help him. Tell him to come on in." That was it. I didn't know this woman really, other than she does Pilates here, and I don't do Pilates. My wife Melanie was teaching exercise science at the college. She's a professor, 25 years now in that, but she also does Pilates. She she's like, you know who that is? I'm like, yeah, it's Kimberly. She goes, no. Well, next thing I know, in comes through the door Kimberly's husband, this 6'6", 310-pound behemoth of a guy. I'm like, who's this? Looked like a left tackle. And I'm like, who is this? And when he introduced himself as Vaughn Parker, I'm like, wait, that is the left tackle for the San Diego Chargers. Vaughn Parker was Kimberly's husband, who I had known Kimberly for a year, and we always had a great conversation. It was about her, it wasn't about anyone else other than her. And when she said her husband had a bad back, Vaughn Parker came in, started doing massage therapy with me. And little did I know, this is the first session I had him. I'm doing this body work on him. He's on my table because I did a lot of body work in the beginning, a lot of Rolfing, structural integration, sport massage, and I'm working on his hip rotator. I got my elbows in his hips. He's like, "Oh my God, Todd, this is awesome. It's exactly what I need. I've never had anyone work on my hips like this." And I'm hearing this like splintering of his back. I'm like, "This is the weirdest thing. I've never heard this." And he's like, "Oh, right there. If you can get more." I'm like, he's big dude, so I'm like pulling down on the table, I'm pushing down, and I'm hearing this splintering get louder and louder. And he's like, "Oh, this is amazing." And as I go deeper and deeper, the table broke in half. My first client ever, my first pro client ever, table breaks in half. I got big 6'6", 310-pound Vaughn Parker, just signed a $20 million deal in the NFL. He's flat on his back on the ground, looking up. I can see the whites of his eyes. He's like, "What was that?" I'm like, "Vaughn, I don't know." But I'm sweating profusely because I'm like, I can't believe this has happened. I've been wanting to work with athletes. I had my chance, and I just had watched, I'm going to show my age here. I had just watched a VHS tape on Thai massage like the week before. So I'm
Oh, so
like,
you're in the perfect spot for it.
100%. I take off my shoes, Rocky. I start like walking on his back. I'm doing I literally was creating stuff. I've got him in this boat stretch where I got his chest opened up and getting his chest. I'm into his piriformis. I'm walking on his legs. I'm like my hands on the wall. I'm getting my heel in his piriformis. He's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. How long you been doing this?" I'm like, don't worry about it. I've been doing it for a long time. That's like my journey's coming out. I'm like, right. I had never done it before. But but he's like, "This is amazing." We get done with that session. That was the first session I ever worked with him. He said, "Can you do this type of stuff down at the locker room?" He goes, "I'm real close with the athletic trainer. After the games, like on Mondays, I'd love to get you to come down and work with the guys." I said, "Of course, I'd love to." Little did he know, I didn't act like it was too big for me. I was like, holy jeez, this is what I've been dreaming of doing for years. Like, this is who I want to work with. A week later, I am in the San Diego Chargers locker room doing this type of work on Mondays. And it was that season that this guy named LaDainian Tomlinson at the time was the number one pick for the San Diego Chargers. He comes up to me on the last day of the season. I had not worked with him during the season. He comes up to me and says, "Hey, I understand you do this thing called functional fitness. And a couple of the guys told me they heard about you. Would you be willing to work with me when the season ends?" I'm like, yeah, of course. I'd be honored to. This is LT. He was the
Right.
big, he's the star of the rookie year. He calls me literally, Rocky, the day after the season ended on a Monday. Calls me. There weren't pagers and texts, or there weren't phones and that stuff, mobile phones. He calls me up. Tuesday, he's in the shop. And I'll just say that's how I got started because
Wow.
LaDainian said, "Todd, I want to be the best running back to ever play the game. I study Emmett, I study Walter, Barry. These are my dudes, and I want to be the best." I said, "Let's go, let's go." Well, he didn't know my story. He didn't know how I got to where I was at. We're standing in my little 3,000 square foot studio with refurbished equipment, carpet on the floor, no money, and we got after it. And he knew after session one, and I knew after session one that we had a match made in heaven. And for the next 9 years, we grinded and grinded and grinded. And eventually LaDainian obviously got inducted into the Hall of Fame. But when you say, how did I get started? It was because of a broken table from Vaughn Parker, who opened the door up to the locker room that opened up the door to LaDainian coming in, because LaDainian really put me on the map. 2 weeks after working with LaDainian 3 times a week, he brought his quarterback in, Drew Brees. Well, Drew's been a client of mine for 23 years now. He's one of my best friends on a lot of levels. I still train him. He's businesses and everything else. We do a lot together. But as you know, Rocky, and many of your guests, in the athlete world, it's all word of mouth. And if you do good
Yeah.
to them and they trust you, and that it's all word of mouth, and that's how it all started. I still work with a lot of athletes, but I still work with a lot of everyday people. People think I just work with like future, Hall of Fame athletes and that. I work with a lot of everyday people to this day. I still teach class on Wednesday nights with people coming in that they don't even know my background. They just come in because they want to get fit. And I love that. Like, I'm just an invisible dude who they just like the class, and they want to get a good workout in. And I love that just as much as working with some of the athletes I work with.
Well, you definitely have the energy to do classes. I'll tell you that. I mean, for anybody that hasn't been to a Perform Better Summit, when you go and the floor and the walls are suddenly shaking and they're like vibrating, and then you hear this raw just coming out of the down the hallway and all that. You're like, oh, there's Todd's workout. He must be having a good time. You get everybody moving, man. It must be so adrenalizing for you to be in
Mm.
situations like that.
Man, I love coaching. I love coaching. It doesn't matter if it's one on one, and I'm down on my knee helping a young NFL quarterback like I was today. He's well, I say young, but he's been in the league for a few years, but he's still a puppy in my eyes. Or if it's with a group of 100 trainers in a huddle and we're breaking down, and getting after it. Because what I've realized now after, she's over 15 years of teaching at Perform Better, man, almost 20 years, is I know what happens inside of a huddle, and when people show up live and actually can feel a class, and you get a bunch of fire breathing dragons all together, lives can be changed and transformed through what can be said and what can be felt. And I can give countless examples of businesses started and lives changed and marriages saved, like all these things from a class, from a session, because of something that someone experienced, and they said, "I'm going to go start this new business," and they go do it because of something that they experienced inside of a class or something that was said, and you give them the formula, and you become their mentor, or you're there for them throughout the process. So that's coaching, and that's what coaching does. And it's kind of grown in the Perform Better world, and when I present my workshops, energy is the name of the game. And I love when we have huddles. I love huddles. And it's probably because I was a quarterback. I love huddles. I love gathering people together, and breaking down and singing and chanting and oorah. And like, it's not how I walk around most of my days like that. People are like, are you always like that? I'm like, no, I'm not always like that. But you put a group of people together who work out and are really striving for the same thing, man, there's some beautiful things that can happen through fitness and movement. And the power of a huddle. It's no different if it's in football or any other sport, or if it's in at the end of a workout with 20 regular fitness enthusiasts or a bunch of passionate fit pros who want to change the world. There's nothing like the power of a huddle.
This is a beautiful segue into mental skills coaching and mindset, because I'm curious. It's always been there, right? It's just it hasn't taken the spotlight as much as it has in recent years now, but it's looked on with less negativity. In fact, we don't call it mental health, we call it mental skills or development or something. But what part along the line in your career were you willing to
Mm,
be vulnerable to
mm,
start to incorporate this into your training?
mm,
Because I just my own experience, like these are the spiritual principles. There are certain things within my life that guide me, and and you want to impart them on the people that you're training because you know how potent they can be and how positive they can be, and yet you're really focused on the physical body, and and they're not necessarily coming to see you for the mental, emotional, spiritual side, but you feel like, "Ah, I gotta impart something." Like, when did that start with you? Because I know it has.
Oof. It's a deep question, and thank you for asking that. I actually think they do keep coming back for the mental, emotional, spiritual side. They don't know it, but that's why, is because I've realized with many of my clients, not just athletes, but I mentioned Drew with 22 years, and heck, we have a lot of long-term clients. I think they might come in because they want to lose weight or they want to get faster, they want to get stronger, they want to get better. I think that's important, but I think they come back because of the mindset that every day or every session is instilled in them from a coach. Um, I can tell you that obviously the workouts are very important, and we want great workouts, but it's what happens outside of the session that's critical as well. It's what happens with some of these crazy videos that will go back and forth with my athletes, where I'm getting in their minds, in their literally their headspace, on that. And like I had literally today, Rocky, no joke, I had a gentleman, an athlete, who we shed tears together because of a struggle he's having in life right now. Um, that to me is coaching. That's mindset of where he's at as a leader and a man, and whether it be in marriage, whether that be on the football field, whether that be in life, is we had a real heart to heart about. And he's a young guy, um, and that to me is coaching. That's mindset of what does it take to lead? What does it take to be the man that you want to be or the woman that you want to be? And in this case, mindset, like where did I? It's evolved. It has evolved because right now, as we record this live, we're getting ready to launch something that has been an evolution of 20 years of coaching. Getting ready to launch a mindset coaching certification for coaches. And the whole point of that is, I believe, and I was sharing this with someone the other day, I believe that in the next couple of years, just as someone says, I want to be I am a strength conditioning coach, or they'll say, who's your strength coach? Or who's your trainer? They're going to say, who's your mindset coach? Who's your nutritionist? Who's your sleep coach? Like these things are happening now. Like there's teams that have mindset coaches or mental performance coaches, right? So, but it's kind of a gray area. It's just kind of like there's people like you and I that have always baked in mindset coaching because who we are. But I'm like, wait a second. There's a lot of coaches who don't even address mindset. They're just it's all about X's and O's and it's win or lose. And there's a lot of pressure nowadays with NIL and the pressure that there's a lot of money that can be made and money can distort things. And now you have parents involved and coaches involved and just the landscape of sport today. I'm like, there's a lot of pressure for kids. It stems all the way back going into middle school and high school because I had a kid the other day, high school kid. He's making money, like good, like real money, five figures in NIL stuff. He's in high school, let alone college. The kid I had 2 days ago, he's seven-figure guy. He's one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football. Seven figures. He's 19 years old. Seven figures. And I'm not saying you have to be that type of level of athlete to be have a mindset coach. It's the kid who gets benched or gets hurt and he's dealing with she is dealing with all of this different pressure on that because of the pressure of sport today. So I got into it for one reason, and where this is at now is I've always been into the mindset side since I've been an athlete myself, like that leadership and mindset side. But I realize now guys like Drew and Jordan Love and Brett Rippin and all these guys I work with, mindset is as crucial for them as it is for the youth athlete, as it is to the mom or dad who's got a lot on their plate, trying to put bread on the table and doing all these things, and they're stressed out. It's chaotic. It's like, I just need my life back. Mindset, like, okay, let's reset the mindset today. So we're putting the stakes down as far as like where mindset performances and what we can do to help people deal with a more positive, optimistic mindset on a regular basis.
Right on. Yeah, it permeates everything that we do. Uh,
100.
Recognizing it for what it is, is just another step in the process. I mean, I I, I used to feel back in the early days, like '90s, when so-called functional fitness was rearing its head, and we were starting to get into the high intensity training. I measured my effectiveness as a trainer and a coach by how many people were bending over in the bushes after the workout. How hard can you push someone into the red zone? And of course, they would kind of love it and hate it at the same time. They come back, but then somewhere along the way, I stopped. I stopped that absurdity, and I began to look at what was the emotional outcome. Like, was there a personality change
Yep.
after an individual session, just one session? Like, how did they walk in, and how did they leave? And that's what I gauged my coaching ability on. And if they left feeling like, oh man, my day is just
Yeah.
a mess, right?
Yeah.
Then I didn't do it right. But if they leave saying, wow, I feel like I want to go do something right now. I've been doing ballroom dancing with my wife and we let it go. I think I want to go and sign up for some classes. Like,
Mm,
things like that actually happen, or the tears flow and there's this release. And we keep
preach.
Kleenex
Preach.
in every corner of the gym because
Preach.
it happens so frequently. I love it when you tap into that stuff, man.
Uh,
It's
it's
power for
it's
them.
it's empowerment, right? It's empowerment. It's funny. In my book, Coaching Greatness, um, it's funny you say that. In chapter 7, I talk about the greatest coaches train their athletes hard but appropriate. And the reason I put that in, I talked about how my training has changed a little bit since the early times because when I had Ladanian and Drew early on, I remember knockdown, drag out workouts that I wouldn't do today. And my
Mhm.
workouts are hard today, but the volume that we trained at was like a thoroughbred that's one step away from being euthanized. like, like, I think looking back, I think I probably did too much with them. Now you could beg, well, yeah, Ladanian, he's a Hall of Famer and this and that. But man, I agree with that. Like when you look at volume and evolution. That's also why recovery is a huge aspect today, right? And the emphasis on recovery. But I think the thing that was always the common denominator was that ability to inspire someone from the inside out. And why do the best coaches in the world have the ability to help people believe in themselves sometimes more than they believe in themselves? Meaning, you can instill belief in someone more than they even believe in themselves. And I think the best coaches I've ever been around, they will always either say or make me feel like I am better than I think I am. And that allows me to step up my confidence. And so much of confidence is up top. I have the confidence and the courage in my heart to step up and not be afraid to take risk, not be afraid to do what I want to do, to not play so robotic when I'm on the field or am so mechanical if I'm in the boardroom and making business decisions that it's not so mechanical, but I'm trusting that I can do what we set out to do. I think the best coaches have that ability when you talk about, that aspect of training. I think the best coaches bring that out.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Tell me, coach, the first half hour of every day, what's on your agenda? What do you do? I just need to know.
Yeah. I'm a man of faith, so my morning routine, I know it's been beaten to a pulp, but it's quiet time. From the time I get up, it's just getting into my home office. I usually open up a notebook. I got a notebook. I like to go a blank notebook here. I got my word next to me. I got a devotional. One of my clients is Pastor David Jeremiah, Dr. J. I call him. He's 84 years old. He's a mentor of mine. He's been a client for 12 years. He's got so many books and devotionals, but I've got a specific daily devotional that I read. I have that. I do a little, I'm a Proverbs guy, so I'll always read like, if it's the third of the month, I'll read Proverbs 3. If it's 27th of the month, it's Proverbs 27. And it's just kind of the book of wisdom. So I always read Proverbs and then some more. I'll read the devotional and I'll just sit quiet and I'll just journal. And I've got an actual journal that I have created, but right now I'm doing more open, blank space journaling of writing with where I'm at. I like to start with what I'm grateful for because a lot of times like many people's minds, I'm always thinking about what I don't have versus what I do have, and those gratitude times ground me in the beginning of the day to think about like grateful for sleep last night if I slept, grateful for the home, grateful for the family and health, like those basic things. And then I might go into other stuff, but I'd say the first 20 to 30 minutes is more quiet time. But in my holy hour, I call it my holy hour. That's when when I'm done with that, I take my pup. We go out. We got more walking time, gratitude walks, and get out. I like to listen to podcasts, Rocky, like this. I'll listen to podcasts, and then I come back to the home gym, and I'll get my home workout in my own place. So this way I just like my quiet time. I like my solitude time because once I get to the gym, it ain't
It's
quiet.
on.
It's chaos. So like from 5 to 7, between the workout, the shower, and the eating before 7 and getting there, it's like that's kind of my time. And I'm disciplined with my early morning holy hour, because without it, I feel really scattered and I get anxious. Anxiety will kind of creep up because there's a lot on the plate versus giving it all up to him and being like, man, I don't know what today's going to bring, but if you want me to deal with it, put it across my plate. I'm going to need you on my team. And I write, I journal, I put those things down, and then it's go time. So when I'm on point, which I'm pretty disciplined, Rocky. Like I don't get off too much. Like most days of the week, I'm doing that. Not so much on the weekends, but my routine on the weekdays are locked in.
I love it. I love it. There's so many common factors when, and I share some of those with you too. Like I am the first one up in my house and it's quiet and I don't make noises. I don't hit the snooze button. I get right up out of bed and I get into it. I have some quiet time myself. And you mentioned gratitude just to share. Back last year in middle of October, I decided to have an exercise, a mental exercise, and that is to practice an attitude of gratitude. By every morning, the first thing I do is I write down three things
Mhm.
on my calendar that I am grateful for. And the caveat here, Todd, is I can't ever repeat the same thing. So it just makes me broaden my horizon in terms of my awareness of my life and the people and the things around me. And it's proven to be the most uh, I think it's the number one exercise in my life right now. I love it. I've never missed a day. October 14th, 2024. Here we are. It's July 3rd when we're recording this right
Wow.
now. And that's how I started my day. And it could be as simple as like you say, hey, I'm grateful that my shoelaces didn't break on me right now. I'm grateful that the door was locked when I came in this morning, or that I can sleep with the window open, or I have such compassion and devotion and admiration toward my wife, and that my kids are going on a path that has passion and heart. I mean, it could be anything, but I think starting off your day like that, and with whether it's prayer or thoughts with intention, or just still in your mind and listening, those things have so much potency. And then you
Mm,
put down your intentions, like you put it in your on. I have whiteboards and I have my laptop. That's where it goes on me. I've never been good. Oh wait, let me rephrase that. I have not taken the opportunity to really explore a
mm,
blank journal. I'm not going to put in the negatives. I have yet to explore that aspect. And
mm,
I mean, I'm not afraid of writing. Don't get me wrong. It's just that for some
mm.
reason, the whiteboard and the laptop really work well for me. So you find what works, I guess. I
Yeah.
rambled on too long. I want to get back into you because
Well, let me
go
just
ahead.
comment on that. Let me comment on one thing on that because it's good, and I think anyone's got to find what works for them, right? So do what works for you. But one thing I have done that serves other people, which helps serves my spirit, is it's similar to what you say with the three. When I'm done with my routine and workout, typically after your workout, you get quiet time and you work out, you feed. That means your body, mind, and soul are fed. You're typically at a high. You're at a euphoria type statement. I have in the last 3 years, most days of the week, will send out three random text messages to people. Um, it could be a teammate, It could be someone that I recently just came across. It could be a family member. And there's nothing magical about who those three people are. It's whoever in my quiet time has come up in my mindset that I need to either pray for, send energy to, strength for, or nothing. It just, they're on my mind for some reason. That practice there has really made a magnificent difference because I I manifest it inside of me. Then I put out three texts or audio, video messages, and then I typically get response back. And what they respond back like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of me. I wasn't expecting that. And what can I do to help you? What's going on? Nothing. I just want to like." It's just been a really great way to connect. And it's something when you talked about the three, it made me think that's part of what I have done at the tail end of my time in the morning, which has made a huge difference. And I know by reaching out to people, you never know what you're going to hear back because sometimes you hear back what you don't expect to hear back. And next you know, you're connecting at a soulful level. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all about? We're here as coaches to help people be the best they can be on any level. And then next thing you're on a phone, a conversation on in the car or whenever, and you're like, it's real connection, real connection.
I love that. Yeah, getting connected. But okay, I'm big borrow and steal, right? That's how we go through life in a way.
Absolutely,
And I'm gonna take
absolutely.
that from you, and I'm gonna run with that. I like that idea,
Try it.
especially after the workout when you're just in that positive kind of jazz situation. Because there's so many people in my life on my contact list on my phone that I think about often but don't reach out.
It
So
could
got
be
to
one
change that,
person. It could be one, right?
right?
I mean, I do three. Could be a family member, could be a son or daughter, could be a coach. It doesn't matter who. It's just you're reaching out to three people or one.
I love it.
Mm.
Okay, for those that are just listening to the audio version of this podcast and not looking at the video, Todd here is sitting in front of this elaborate bookshelf with a whole bunch of items, including some pretty impressive footballs on the top shelf there, and a little bit of artwork on the wall. So here's my question, Todd. Out of all those things behind you, which one holds do you hold dearest? Which one has the most significance? All right, here we go. It's an anchor.
It's an anchor. Out of all these
Okay.
footballs and football helmets and all, yeah, this is my dude. This is a gift from my man Larry Indiviglia, and it says to Todd, the greatest of them all, love always Larry. I always anchor the energy in your room. Um, Larry's been a dude that's been by my side early 2000s. I always say everyone's got a dude. Everyone's got a dude or a dudette. And Coach Wolf, he had his guy. His name was Bear, and Bear was always with him. And he did his best work when Bear was around. And Larry um, uh, is a guy that was with me for many, many years, over 20, since I opened Fitness Quest 10 and with Impact X Performance, and he helped run my mastermind group for coaches. But this is probably the most meaningful one because Larry is a selfless man who did a lot of good for many, many, many people that no one really knows who Larry is unless you're inside my inner circle. But Larry would be at every live event I was at, and he would uphold the energy in a room. And I got that upholding the energy in a room from I think it was Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and we talk about upholding the energy in a room. Is there's people when you're in rooms sometimes that um, it's not the energy that you want to create. Like perform better in those workshops. That's the energy I want to create, right? Well, sometimes you do workshops or retreats, and you need to have people praying, thinking, holding intentionality of the energy you want in the room, and that is literally through your mindset of what you want the energy to be. What do you want it to feel like, smell like, be like? So you set that so someone can operate the best level. That anchor was a gift when Larry was retiring, and he's
Mm.
like, you know, to Roger Staubach was a good friend of his. He went to the Naval Academy with Roger and Drew Brees. He looks at as Drew because of our relationship. And that those words that he said on here, um, to Todd, the greatest of them all, love always Larry. You talk about a military man who he did the call of duty, but he just did it. He never looked for attention. He never looked for accolade. But man, oh man, you talk about someone who you want in the foxhole with you. I want Larry individually in the foxhole with me any day. Those are the kind of guys that we don't have enough of anymore. That you got guys around you or gals around you, that people that are with you in this fight that no one ever sees how hard it is and what you go through. We need people around us that are just foxhole people. Who's in your foxhole? Who are the five people in your foxhole when you're fighting to really impact a million or 10 million or 100 million people or 1,000 people, doesn't matter the number, but like you need people around you that can lift you up, support you, encourage you, because when you get when you get a certain level of success or that, sometimes the people around you, it gets a little lonely sometimes near that top. You, you need people around you that can help you do what you do because when the mission is big, sometimes at the top, it gets a little smaller, a little tighter. And Larry Navigli is my dude. And that anchor,
Wow.
by the way, I've never been asked that question, Rocky, on a lot of
Mm.
podcasts. A lot of podcasts I've been on. I've never once been asked that question. And I didn't have an answer because, you know,
You got a lot of stuff behind you, but
there's a
that is
lot of
pretty
football
powerful.
helmets and a lot of hammers and there's a lot of stuff back there. I never really thought about that. But I mean, there's heck all like awards like trainer of the year. I gotta get the dust off some of these things. Like I got all the trainer of the year awards, and it's not one, two, three, four, five accolades and helmets and most things thrown in the Pro Bowl and like all these things from Drew and the Aaron Rodgers and these guys. Interesting. I went to the anchor.
Wow.
I've never been asked that
Yeah,
question, Rocky.
man,
Ever.
I could feel it. Really touched you too. I mean, I
Mhm.
could, yes, just your words. That's
Good.
awesome. Yeah, everyone needs a dude or a dudette. I love that. Okay. So, with the time we have left, you really um chameleon is not seeming to be the right description, but more like, well, I like surfing, so it's kind of like you're surfing the waves and you're just going with energy and connecting with power greater than yourself to kind of help guide you along this path that you're on. So where is this path taking you? Even though you're keeping one foot in the gym and you love the coaching, like I can
Yeah.
see that you're really wanting to, as you say, create impact. So how
Mm.
are you creating impact moving forward in this upcoming year, in the remainder of 2025?
Yeah. So in 2020, I wrote a book called Get Your Mind Right. Imagine that.
Hmm.
Um, and soon thereafter, I wrote the book. My mind wasn't right. Mr. Mind Right Maniac here, Get Your Mind Right, just wrote the book. I went through maybe the darkest time of my life, besides the death of my father when I was just 20 years old. Um, I hit a 3.5 year valley that really challenged everything. I had my second knee replacement. My back went out, which was devastating. I needed what was told at the time I needed a 14-hour back surgery. I'm like, how do you do a 14-hour back surgery? Da, 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 da. It was a really dark time mentally when you're physically in pain, as you know. It challenges everything. And here I am, like I had just written the book, Get Your Mind Right, and I'm battling and I sold a portion of Fitness Quest 10 because I literally thought I was done. Like I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And it ended up I got diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I wasn't sleeping, and it was a crazy diagnosis of like, man, how long have you been doing this? Because this could lead to death. This could lead to heart attack, and you stop breathing 120 times that night for 20 to 52 seconds per episode. I'm like, that's impossible. I share that because it has led me to where I'm at now. 3.5 years in the valley when Pastor Jeremiah wrote my foreword to the book called True Strength, which came out last year. I had a decision. Do I write True Strength or Coaching Greatness? This book, Coaching Greatness, just came out. This was the easy one to write. It doesn't share my dirty laundry like True Strength. True Strength, I
Mm.
shared 3.5 years of hell. Um, and I said, I got to share True Strength first. If I'm going to be authentic and real as a coach should be, I'm going to share that stuff first. And in that, I share at the end after I got my mind right, because physically I got right, knees good, back, better, never had the surgery. That's another story. How the heck I didn't have a 14-hour surgery. I didn't have a surgery. Um, is I deepened in my faith, and I realized that no, it's not. I'm getting out of the industry. I'm going deeper into what I do and my gifts, because I got a window of time, like everyone's got a window of time, and I don't know if that's a decade. I don't know if that's 30 years. What? But what came out of that is I want my legacy to go way beyond me. We came up with the Impact Life Coaching Certification. So we now have 67 certified life coaches that once a year, every September, we have new life coaches being certified. I got a team of people that are helping me execute that. We are just launching, as we record this, here in mid-July, my impact, or we've got the mindset coaching certification. It's called Get Your Mind Right. Imagine that. It's called Get Your Mind Right mindset coaching certification for mindset coaches. These are people who work with athletes or want to work with athletes on that. And then lastly is really my big play last year, after a lot of prayer, a lot of thought, and taking 25 plus years of experience, is I started a fitness franchise. It's called Impact X Performance. Impact X Performance. And in that franchise model is we're taking fitness, recovery, life coaching, and faith, fitness, recovery, and life coaching. Now, fitness and recovery, as we know, those are tangible. Those are things that, it's what I've been doing forever. But I've always led a faith based business. Fitness Quest 10 is a faith based business. I'm just putting it more out in the forefront because I really don't care if someone's atheist, agnostic, Christian, Jewish. Like, it don't matter to me. We're going to train and we're going to do everything. I love you regardless of who you are. But if someone wants to step deeper into their Christian faith, we're going to have opportunities for them to do that. We already do. We have 6 locations. We have people that want to step deeper in their faith. They have opportunities. They opt into that. And there's some chapel services that I lead on the weekends for these people on that. And then the life coaching is what I've been doing now for a couple of years. We have our 67 certified life coaches that can coach within our 6 locations. Moving forward, I see 100 lighthouses across the country. I call them lighthouses, actual brick and mortar studios, lighthouses that are shining light into their own communities with fitness and recovery, life coaching, and faith on that. So that's what I'm up to now. I'm spending a lot of time spreading the gospel of fitness and recovery and life coaching and faith. And when I'm speaking this year, it's all on coaching greatness. And coaching greatness is all about what the best coaches in the world do. But for those people, coaches who want to go deeper and have a team of people like myself, that's called Impact X Performance. And we're also attracting a lot of people who are, quote, middle age, who have been in the corporate world for a while and they're burnt out. They want to have deeper impact with what they're doing. They want to just really go more into the fitness world. And now we have a system that they can do that, that's profitable financially, but also soulfully and with all of the different aspects of living, is fulfilling people's desire to create more impact, and that's called Impact X Performance.
Wow, right on. I'm really digging everything that you're creating, and I appreciate how you're putting it out there for everybody. Um, I, hearing you speak, I think about the dark things that are inside all of us, the dark experiences we have. But when you really think about how form takes its place, it's not all through light, but it's the combination of light and shadows that give things definition and meaning, right? So and you probably heard this story before, but I love it. I keep coming back to it. This guy, it's kind of like a parable. This guy's walking down the street. He's not paying attention to where he's going, and suddenly he trips and he falls into this hole, and he tumbles down for a long time until he finally hits the bottom of this hole, and he looks up and you can't even see the light of day. He's down so deep in this dark hole, and he tries scratching and clawing his way to the surface, and every time he'd just slip and fall right back down to where he was, until finally he admits that he can't do it alone and he has to call out for help. So he calls out when he hears somebody walking by the hole way up above, and he looks, and there's this doctor, and the doctor hears him. He sees him way down there. He writes a prescription and he throws it down in the hole and continues walking by. And the guy just keeps on trying, and he hears somebody else walking by, and this time it's a religious leader, and he says a prayer when he sees him down there, and he keeps walking by. And it wasn't too long until he hears more footsteps, and here's this guy. He looks down, a complete stranger. And without thinking, he sees him down there calling for help, and he jumps down into the hole and he lands right beside the guy. And the guy's just bewildered. He's going, "What the fire? What are you doing here?" He's like, "No, no, no. You see, I've been down here before and I know the way out, right? That's what you're doing. You may be a total stranger to people in the short
Mm,
term, and then as they get to know
mm,
you, they get to know your coaching, they get to know the principles that you're putting out there to guide them to light, to
mm,
where they want to go."
mm.
That's it's
So
just
good.
everything you're talking about just
So
brought me
good.
there.
So good, Rocky. It makes me think that parable in my book True Strength came out last year again. Pastor Jeremiah writes the foreword, and
Hmm.
there's a quote in it that I extracted out. It's called, and you'll like this one: "The crest of the wave determines the depth of the valley. The depth of the valley determines the crest of the wave." Meaning how high you are, how many successes you have in life, could also mean how far down you crash. And how deep you go could be the rebound of how high you come back. So I'm sitting here in this valley, and what he reminded me is, hey, listen, there's a lot of fruit in the valley. There's a lot of fruit. All the fruit is typically done in the valley. I didn't want to hear it at the time because I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to be in the valley. No one wants to be in the hole. Everyone wants to be
Oh,
at the top of the mountain and like, yes, we did it. Yes, we did it. But he said, eat some fruit down there. Because when you get back on the top of the mountain, when you actually see what was created that's already done for you, that you know it's going to be there, but you got to trust that, is you're going to look back and you're going to wish that you would have appreciated that time a little bit more, and that you're going to realize what you learned in that is going to help you get you to where you want to go. I'm seeing that now. Again, I'm a year and a half out of that valley of that really dark time of, man, like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, but I don't like where I'm at. And on the outside world, you would never know, right? Like, you don't know, like, I'm
no.
having all this back pain and knee pain. Because what do coaches do? We show up. You put your back brace on, you pop ibuprofen, you get some caffeine because you're not sleeping, and you show up. Well, after years of doing that, that gets not good. Like, it's not good. So all of a sudden, coming out of that side of things now, I'm like, okay, I learned a lot of deep, 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 deep lessons that are going to fuel me. And hence, that's what IXP is all about. Impact X Performance is not just 3.5 years, but it's over 25 years of experience wrapped into a model that I believe is going to help a lot of people create impact in their lives. Because, Brocky, guys like you and me, we've seen a lot of things. And I'd be damned if I go to the grave someday, hopefully in about 56 years when I'm 110 years old, and haven't put that all in to what I believe my divine gifts are. So hence we're out and about, shaking the Holy Grail. That for those people who want to get involved, reach out to me. Let me know how I can help. But Impact X Performance is really where I'm spending a lot of my focus and time right now, and that's what I'm doing.
Man, that's great. Yeah, I'll make sure that links to your program and your book, and for that matter, Fitness Quest 10 are in the description below the podcast, so anybody can go there and check out more. Todd, this has been just a remarkable conversation. I really appreciate you. It's good to get to know you
Mm.
even to a deeper level than just sharing some space in a room and watching your work. It's really, I appreciate that. It means a lot to me, and I thank you for giving me your time.
Rocky, thank you, and thank you for everything you're doing. It was great to connect in Chicago. I look forward to connecting soon. I got to get up to Northern California at some point, and we can hang together.
That sounds like a plan. I like that
Awesome.
very much. And that's the end of that one. Todd, I can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on. You are not only a master motivator, but you know how to take passion and make it work for everyone. And if you haven't experienced Todd's energy and fire, then you definitely want to sign up for the 3-day functional summit happening next month in Providence, Rhode Island, the last of the summits for the season. We've already been to Chicago. Long Beach happened in July, and now Providence, Rhode Island in August. And aside from that, the following month, at the end of September, on the 27th, come to Perform Better's headquarters to their Functional Training Institute. Join me for a 1-day workshop that Saturday, all about recalibrating movement from the ground up, and find out how the foot and the lower body affects movement up the chain. Check out my website, as always, rockysnyder.com. We've got podcasts, blogs, and a whole bunch more. And check out Setanta College while you're at it, and maybe the Masters of Science program is exactly what you need. We'll see you next week.